Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. I'm Jamie, and with me, as always, is
Jack,
Joe,
and Data.
And this week we are covering Mistborn, Book 3, The Hero of Ages, chapters 26, 27, and 28, wherein Spook is awake and feels good enough to go to the pub. Vin sneaks into Fadric City and seeks out some informants. And Ellen and Vin have a chat after their respective days and make plans to gate crash a party. Hold on to something, everybody. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
As the towers of steel and stone crumble to dust, the foundations of our hope begin to rust. Choking fear, screaming sound, as a reaper comes to ground. You turn to face it down because you must. And when the world starts to burn, at the point of no return, keep a hold of your conviction, tear out the affliction, before the world turns black. Stand up and take it back.
Okay, so before we get started this week, I want to let everybody know that we are going to be taking a break for a couple of weeks. It should be 2 weeks that we will not have a new episode. I am going to Disney World, and in the meantime, Dak is opening a show. He's a popular in-demand sort of dude we've established. So we're going to take a couple weeks off to do stuff, and then we will be back for the next episode, which will be 3 more chapters, 29, 30, and 31. Just want to let everybody know up front so that you knew what to expect. And also in case people don't listen to the end of the episode, they hear me start being like, so emails, and they're like, snooze off. Now you know. So,
now
okay,
listen very closely. You can hear all the listeners going, no.
Yeah. The reason you're going to Disney World is because you play for the Buccaneers and you guys won the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm full end. Is that a position in football?
Full end? Oh my God. What's happening?
I'm the backup kicker, so you don't actually see me. They don't even let me on the field. I just have to wait in the locker room.
Special teams, yeah.
I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Sorry, American football. He didn't even know what he was talking about. He said full end.
Was he trying to say what position he played?
Right, but there's a full back and a tight end. Not a full end.
I was making a joke. Anyway.
He can be whatever he wants to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Okay, so
you're full of crap, Fry. You make a persuasive argument, Fry.
Aside from the word blurs, that was complete and utter gibberish.
It was like Blurn's ball. Anyway, so these
multi-blurn. Sorry.
Stuff happened. There was sneaking and spying and things like that. What did you guys think of the 3 chapters this week?
Yeah, I liked reading them. I actually quite enjoyed Spook's chapter. I thought that was where we left off with him last time. It was kind of good to catch up where he was at and get a peek into his mindset. That was exciting and kind of terrifying to think where he might go with that. Lots of thoughts running through my head. Then sneaking into Fadric City, I was kind of excited to have her talk to different informants, and then we got Hoyd's name, and I was like, oh, he's back. And then we didn't go talk to Hoyd. I was like, what is that? Why even bother? So, yeah, but that was cool, her talking to the first informant. I can't remember his name. But then it was kind of nothing big happened. So I was sort of hoping for a bit more in there, but that's okay. There's plenty more book to go. And, yeah, the 3rd chapter was okay. More Ellen and Vin talking and trusting each other, and I'm glad they addressed they can't talk about the plan with each other. So I was like, "Whew, okay, we're all on the same page. That's good." But yeah, I enjoyed these chapters as well, and keen to see what happened next.
Yeah, we were just talking last week. I mean, Dax had his list of people who he wanted to see if they would show up, and we just mentioned Hoyd last week, I think, as a possibility. And then, hey, there's the name, and nope, you're not getting to see this guy pretending to be blind, or maybe he doesn't even have the same shtick anymore. We don't know. Might not even be the same guy. It might just be that's a common name in the Final Empire.
I mean, he might not even be alive. He could be dead for all we know.
Yeah, we didn't get close to him. So
also, if it is the same Hoyd, then how did he get it? What's his story throughout all of these years? He's gone from giving Kelsier information to turning up in another city that's of interest. Like, ooh, what have you been up to?
It's true.
If it's him.
We may never know.
Maybe there are two Hoyds. Maybe it's a common name. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. It's just all over the Final Empire.
That's the Final Empire's version of Steve.
Yeah.
So these chapters were pretty good. I feel like we're in the build-up phase here, and it's sort of just like, all right, we're laying the seeds. Where are they going to go? Like, I don't think a lot happened in these chapters. It's just building up to things. I like the whole, all right, we're going to gate crash a ball. Okay, that's kind of cool. We're getting back into heist-style mode, sort of. Can't wait to see how that goes pear-shaped. Like, Vin talking to the informant was kind of cool because we get some backstory on Yeoman. I like how we're sort of just building up to this guy and we're getting conflicting information about him, and then when we meet him, we'll just be like, all right, so who was right about him? Is he a dick? Is he a good man? I guess we'll find out. And yeah, Spook was kind of cool. There's a lot to unpack in whatever the hell's going on in Spook. I think the thing that threw me this week is like the informant she did meet up with was named Slow Swift. I'm like, yep. What the hell is up with Fadrex City and giving people weird ass names? You got Ashweather, you got Meow Meow, and now you got Slow Swift. Like, the two parts of his name literally cancel each other out. You may as well call him Snowshine or something.
I think that must be a nickname. Maybe not. Maybe I always assumed it was a nickname, and then you point out that Ashweather's also a weird name, and we got Meow Meow, and so I'm like, maybe it's not. Maybe somebody did name him that. Huh.
But also, it's Slow Swift. Like, the two things literally mean opposite. Is he slow or is he swift? You can't have both.
Maybe he's a bit slow, but then he moves really fast.
Yeah, he might be like a really speedy dude that we just didn't get to see him move. He was sitting down.
But then I thought it was kind of the way that he was being an informant, because at first he's like just only giving her information when she asks for it, and then he's kind of slow to give her the information, and then when he figures out her resolve, he spits out a ton of information at her all at one time.
Yeah, I can see that. No.
Or maybe it's just a dumb name, Dak. I don't know. Sorry, I got food in my mouth.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not going to go full poet and just like, this has ruined the book. I can't get past this one dude's stupid name.
I was gonna save this till we got there, but there is a section of annotations about Slow Swift's name.
Okay.
So the character himself is based on he says based on Grandpa Tolkien. So it's the character's like an homage to J.R.R. Tolkien. It's like he even has a picture. He's like, I was thinking of this picture of Tolkien when I created this character. And then it says the name itself comes from his love of wordplay and of names that are inherently self-contradictory. He says, I'm not a Tolkien scholar. I don't know the man's personality or how he would have reacted in the situation. I'm just a fan. And I thought that it would be fun to have this tiny side character in imitation of the master.
That's fair. Now he makes the point. It's like, oh yeah, Tolkien made opposite names all the time. It's like, oh yeah, he really did. It's been a while since I've actually read Tolkien stuff, so.
He said that, and I'm like, is that true? Was that a thing? And I had to like think about it for a while. So.
I think it's mainly throughout the Silmarillion.
Oh, I've never read the Silmarillion.
It's tough. It's like, it's an excellent book, but it's a tough to get through.
It's a slog.
If I want to know about the characters that are talked about there, I'll go find the wiki entry and just read that and be like, okay, now I know about like Sauron before he came to Middle Earth. It's all good.
These chapters were good. Like, I agree with everybody else. It's kind of just some setup, but not bad setup. The Spook chapter, I mean, yeah, look, do I feel bad for Spook? Yeah. Do I care? Nah. I don't really feel bad for Spook. We're going to get into it, but obviously there's some not so great things going on, and he seems like he's going to be a victim going forward, which kind of sucks, but we'll get to that. And then the Vin stuff was good. I liked her creeping around Fadrex, thinking about her life and how different it is now and how it was then. And then we kind of come full circle. She talks to Ellen. It's like, let's go to the ball and crash the ball. And then it's so cute at the end when she's like, and Ellen's like, what? What's wrong? She's like, I didn't bring any dresses. It's fun. I'm sure she'll just.
Cue Allrianne.
Yeah.
God.
No, she's an Urzo. We don't have to worry about her.
Yeah.
No, she'll far away. She'll do that thing. It's like, I sense I'm needed, and all of a sudden she'll just pop out of thin air.
Yeah. Vin needs a dress.
You rang.
Oh goodness, I don't even want to think about Allrianne just popping up and be like, I have dresses. We need to go shopping. Oh gosh. Yeah, I wonder how Vin's gonna resolve this problem. It's the biggest problem she's ever faced. How will she get a dress?
I'm sure.
You said she's the biggest problem she's ever faced. I'm like, Allrianne?
I'm sure.
Needing a dress and needing to shop is not Allrianne's problem. That's Allrianne's, like, that's her bread and butter. She does that every day.
I thought you meant Allrianne was the problem.
Oh, no. Maybe. But no. Not yet, anyway.
I'm sure Allrianne makes Set just carry dresses with him everywhere he goes in case she needs one. So I bet she can probably get one from Set.
Dude can't even walk.
Oh my god.
Well, I meant like his men, not him specifically.
Okay.
Like, Dad, carry my dresses.
Sure, just tie a trailer onto the back of my wheelchair.
He has soldiers. He has lots of soldiers who work for him. I guess who work for Ellen now. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Okay, I guess let's get into these 3 chapters. The first epigraph's actually kind of long. It's just about how the Lord Ruler, like, synthesized different cultures into his final empire.
First thing, like, when Jamie opened the book, within like half a second of opening it, just went, oh, god damn it, Sazed, your epigraphs are so long.
They are longer than what we're used to in the previous 2 books for the most part. But, you know.
Yeah, you're telling me. I've been writing them down verbatim in my notes.
I gotta admit, I did think about that. I was like, Joe's just gonna end up writing a book.
You should like move the book to like Kindle on your computer, and then you can just cut and paste them.
I don't like writing notes on the computer. I'm weird about that. I have to have it in my own writing.
I prefer my own writing too, except that I can't read my own writing, so then I have to copy notes regardless.
Yeah, so it's very funny though, because you guys are absolutely right. Like a half a page is devoted to each epigraph, and then I write like 3 lines for the summary of the chapter.
Oh my gosh. That's the best thing ever. I'm sorry. This is the one that you choose to write down. It's not the epigraphs where we're getting like 1 sentence at a time. And the second one I think might have been long a few times, but this one is long a lot. She's
well, I mean, I made the decision before we started reading. I didn't know how long they were going to be.
Okay, yeah. So the epigraph writer's just like, you know, Rashek was jealous of the Clenny people, of Alendi's people, even though he hated them. So he stole a bunch of ideas from them. He stole their fashion. He stole their architecture.
Yes, some good old-fashioned cultural appropriation.
I think the next epigraph is about the same thing, isn't it? It's like, here's some more stuff he stole. Yeah. So he's just stealing culture left and right. This guy. He murders a dude and then he steals his culture. It's a whole thing. And then we cut to Spook. And Spook has been running some tests. He's like, I apparently have pewter. I don't have anything else. I tried. This is not a thing that happens. You don't get 2 powers. This doesn't make any sense.
Yes, I have thoughts on that, but we'll get to those in predicaments.
Okay. And then he's thinking about Kelsier's spirit, and he's like, Kelsier's ghost appeared to me. This is weird. And then he finds a piece of a sword embedded in his skin, and he starts to pull it out, and Kelsier's like, no, leave that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Red flag.
Yeah.
How many times have we seen someone with a little bit of metal embedded in them and then they hear voices?
Yeah. And especially if, like, I'm going to take this sword out of me. He's like, no, wear it as a badge of honor. And like, no.
It's going to get infected.
It seems like it would, right?
You never pull the blade out. You're just going to start bleeding.
Yeah, but you go to the doctor and you get it removed.
It seems like pewter helps you heal a lot. I wonder if it helps with, like, infection type.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, if it helps you not get drunk, could be.
Yeah, anyway. So the voice pops in to be like, no, don't take it out. Wear it as a badge of blah, blah, blah. And he's like, wait, Kelsier? And there's no response. So the voice just pops in for a second and then pops out again. Just
imagine, like, because I assume that now I'm pretty sure the voice is Ruin, like we were just hinting at. And so I'm just like, Ruin's just standing there watching him, just watching. It's like, all right, cool, I can control this. Oh, fuck, no, don't trust that. And then, like Jamie says, he heads off to the pub. And this is a heck of a place. I guess maybe it's part of the citizens' whole thing where you're not allowed to be comfortable because that's fancy people stuff. But it's like a bar where you go in and sit on the floor or on boxes that are like laying around, and the guy comes out and brings you your drink and sets it on the ground. I would not want to go to that pub.
No, not really. Except for the fact that they have extremely expensive wines that you can buy for a fraction. The Citizen made coins to be worth a fraction of a clip because clips were the smallest denomination they had and they needed something smaller. That's sad. So the bartender brings Spook a bottle of 50-year-old House Venture Special Vintage that used to go for 600 boxings a bottle. And it costs a couple of, does it have a name? A couple of pecks. That's a stupid name for your money. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because galleons and sickles and canuts is a good name.
No, those are all... Galleon's okay. I'm okay with galleon.
Yeah, galleon sounds good.
Canut bugs the crap out of me because it's so annoying to say.
This is, Song of Ice and Fire had gold dragons, silver stags, and I think it was bronze crowns or something. Oh no, bronze stars. I'm like, that's way better.
Yeah,
Give me 3 dragons for a bottle, you'd say.
It's like Canadian money where they have the loonie because it has the loon on it.
And then that's the dollar, and then the $2 is the toonie.
Yeah, you're just building off the $1.
No way.
No, that's legit.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Loonies and toonies.
It works. I like it.
They really
No,
just
I
like
like
Bugs
it.
Bunny.
Yeah.
They
That's
like
exactly where I went.
I'd never made that connection until you said that. I was like, why would he say that? And then I thought about it for half a second. I was like, oh, no, okay, yeah, that's true. Oh, my gosh.
I like to think someone's sitting there just laughing at what they did.
I like to imagine that, they had the loonie, this coin with a picture of a loon on it, and they're like, that's a loonie. And then they're like, what do we call this other coin? Well, what does it have on it? What does it have on it? Okay, I gotta look it up now. Hold on.
Oh, Jesus.
I don't know. That doesn't sound right. It's 2. What if we just call it a toonie? And they're like, you're an idiot. And then they just went with it. It looks like it has Elizabeth II on it and a bear.
Is Elizabeth with the bear?
No, they're on different sides.
Oh.
That would be a much better coin. Like she's fighting bear.
I was gonna say she's probably riding it. She's subjugated this bear.
Riding the bear. That would be awesome.
That's
Canada,
a monarch
take
you want
notes.
to hear about.
That's quite regal, isn't it? that's the image you want.
Ellen,
immortalised
step
in
your game
money.
up. Ride a bear.
It's like a bear on an ice floe or something. I don't know. So yeah, there's no good you're gonna call them berries. That doesn't sound right.
The queen's on all their money, right?
I think. Well, I don't know.
Probably like ours.
She's on a lot of money for all the countries that used to be under them or are kind of sort of still in the Commonwealth or whatever.
Yeah, ones that didn't just flip the table and say fuck this shit, I'm out, like you guys did.
Okay, so let's see. She's on their $20 bill, but there's other people on these other monies.
I think she's usually on one side, and then we have someone else on the other side,
Yeah,
like a prime minister or some other figure.
native wildlife.
I want to know who these other people are, but I'm not finding their names. Their pictures on the money, and that's it.
You gotta love our tangents sometimes. Last week was all Wesley Snipes, and this week it's Canadian money.
Yeah,
well,
I know it's ridiculous, and yet I want to know. We started talking about it, and I'm like, I need to know.
It's like, how do we get here?
You have to be dead to be on our money.
That's true. That is a rule. You have to be dead for
Really?
like a certain amount of time. I think it's like
I don't know, because they had Kennedy on like 50-cent pieces even in the 60s, so I'm not sure about that part. I just know you have to be dead.
I think it may be a more recent rule. I'm not gonna look that up. We're not going down that hole. I'm in the middle of going down one hole. We're not doing the other holes.
Whoa. All this talk about holes.
So the $5 has portrait of Sir Wilfrid Laurier, Prime Minister from 1896 to 1911. Okay, fine. Oh, and the reverse is like a dude in space. That's much cooler.
What?
That is
Yeah, there's like a dude doing a spacewalk on the back of this $5 bill.
That's awesome.
I want that on our money. America, step up your game.
Yeah, why isn't Armstrong on anything yet?
Oh my gosh. And then there's these old dollar bills. Apparently the old $5 bills, the guy apparently looked kind of like Spock, and people would draw on them to make him be Spock. That's amazing. Okay, anyway, I'm sorry people. We'll get back. Spook, not Spock. That's who we're talking about.
Oh, Jesus.
That was a nice segue. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. He's using his pewter to pull the cork out. Such an impressive feat of strength. Because I guess they charge extra for a corkscrew. That's how they get you. They're not allowed to charge 600 boxings for the wine, but if you want to open the wine, that's going to be expensive.
Imagine a coin shot with a corkscrew is going to be a very lethal enemy.
Ooh, that would be messed up. And let's see. So he starts listening in on people. I guess he goes to the bar to listen and spy on people and see what's going on. And this is one of the shadier spots where people don't love Quellion so much because he makes it harder to be a shady character.
Well, the thing that was going through my head was like, oh yeah, sure, they're selling the booze for much cheaper than it should be, but it seems like the booze in general would be something Quellion would frown upon because that's rich people drink. You want to drink, you can have this moonshine Quellion's been making out the back. That's poor people drink.
That's awesome. I like the idea that his government just has an official like bathtub of moonshine maker. You can't make fancy drinks.
Who gets to be the government appointed brewer?
He'd get to wear red because red's the government color, right? So
yeah,
it's worth it just to get some color in your wardrobe, maybe. But what I find interesting is, before that, the Ska are discussing rumors, or the people. I don't think there's any nobles here. They're all Ska at this point. They're discussing how the Quellion's talking about taking away all the coins and going to keep them in his own bank or treasury or whatever. We're getting very communist now. It's like men shouldn't have to rely on coins. Everything should be together for everybody. Somebody's like, yeah,
your bread.
Yeah. Somebody's like, the Lord Ruler never let Ska have coins either, huh? And their story is that the survivor killed the Lord Ruler, which, I mean, this is a long way from Luthadel, or a ways from Luthadel at least. So I guess maybe the story gets garbled in transition, but that's a pretty big difference from the survivor killed him to the survivor was killed by him. Like that's a different thing.
Well, the way I picture it in my head is like, oh, they've got the story. He came back from the dead specifically to kill the Lord Ruler. And I'm just like, that's kind of badass.
That is badass. You're correct. I like your version.
It's like, then my job is done. Then I can be at peace.
So that you just like fade away after that.
Yeah.
He ascended back into heaven or whatever their theory is.
It's been a long time since I read the first book. Isn't that what happened?
I don't know. I don't know, man. That epilogue went by so quick.
Yeah, abrupt endings. What can you do?
And they're going to Quellion's going to start sorting people out. Only people with 5 generations of pure Ska blood will be allowed to work in the government.
Every time they say pure back however many generations, I'm just like, okay, we're getting very Slytherin here now. Yep. This is disconcerting.
Yeah. And that's when Spook discovers that he's not getting drunk. He's like, man, this pewter's some good shit. Pewter's a hell of a drug, as someone would say.
That's a Rick James quote.
He starts thinking about clubs again. Man, I miss clubs. He spent so much money getting me. I wonder why. And then Spook is like, man, I just want to be able to help people. And Kelsier's voice pops in again and be like, you can be great like I was. And Spook realizes that no one else can hear this voice, which this would be the first time that he would have to figure that out. And then he's like, great like Kelsier? Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah, because Kelsier would definitely be like, Spook, you can be just like me. I was so great.
Kelsier was a little bit full of himself, so maybe.
He did have a few, bitch, I'm awesome moments.
And then he kind of reveals himself because he drops the bottle and then uses pewter to grab it fast before it falls to the ground. And people turn to notice him, and somebody's like, that's him. And apparently people, he's like, I thought that nobody would notice me. He thought he hadn't been memorable enough for people to notice. Oh, but wait, I started a fight with all these guards in the middle of a giant gathering and then got thrown into like a building that they burned down. Maybe people did notice. I'm sorry, but come on.
Yeah, Spook's so great. We should all like Spook.
But apparently Dern has been talking about him, the beggar lord that we met before, and knows that he was a member of Kelsier's crew, which he did not at. Like, Dern is the guy who was like, no, I heard Kelsier talk one time. You just don't understand. So he played that really smoothly, considering.
And now this loudmouth has just completely blown that secret. So good job. Too much expensive wine.
If Dern's been going around talking, then,
yeah,
it's his own fault. And that's the end of the chapter, where Spook just gets up and he's like, I guess I should leave now that everyone's staring at me.
He also thinks like, oh, why has Dern been telling everyone my secrets? I thought he was more careful. Yeah, there's really going to be more to that. So Dern's gonna have a bigger part to play now. He's not just one and dones.
Definitely seems like we maybe haven't seen the last of him.
Yep. Spook just is like, cheese it.
Cheese it. Second, epigraph is, like I said, just more. So yeah, he stole a bunch of stuff from a bunch of, not just the Clenny. The Ska were modeled after the slave people of the Kanzi, and the Terra stewards after the servant class of Urtan. And my favorite bit is that he's like, oh, and yeah, the church, the imperial religion was modeled after this like bureaucracy, this mercantile system. In my opinion, the fact that he based his church on a financial institution shows that he was worried less about true faith and more about stability, loyalty, and quantifiable measures of devotion. That sounds about right.
Yep, that fits.
And then we get Finn flying through the night, and we're introduced to a new development in allomantic magics, is wrapping the coins in fabric to make them quieter.
Yeah, smart. I just I picture her flying through the night. It's just like, don't stop me now. Having such a good time.
That'd be amazing.
I understand why, but I am sad she doesn't have the cloak on. Those cloaks are cool.
Right? That's what I was thinking. Whenever I picture Vin, it's with the mist cloak on, because it's awesome.
Yeah.
And he says the same thing in the annotations, actually. It's like, Vin's reasoning makes sense why she ditched the mist cloak, but I love the image and the symbol. But he also thinks that maybe there's some symbolism to her not wearing it, like finally becoming her own woman and shrugging off the mantle that Kelsier gave her, or something meaningful like that. He says, it's like, I don't know, something.
Yeah. But I kind of like the idea that they never had to. So this is new for them, because in the Final Empire, they would be respected enough that people would just look the other way. It's like, oh yeah, there's a Mistborn floating around, whatever. They still want to be stealthy at some point, but they didn't have to be as stealthy as they do now.
Yeah, I guess it's like the cloak. It's like the cloak, people saw it and they're like, oh no, leave that alone. But now we're needing more stealth. That's a really good point. So Set has given her a list of people to talk to. And I like, on her way in, she's like, Ellen's calling the city like provincial, like a tiny city. It's not a small city. It's just that Ellen is used to Luthadel. That's where he lived. And it's a ginormous city. So he kind of looks down on these outer cities as, not nearly as big or important. There's a bunch of introspective stuff here, which I'm like, we don't necessarily need to.
Although there's like the bit where she talks about, I used to go to so many balls, and now looking back, foreshadowing.
Yep. She notices the keeps that are very much like the keeps in Luthadel, and she's like, oh, I remember this stuff. And it says that the informant's nickname is Slow Swift.
Oh, I missed that bit.
I guess that's why I always assumed it was a nickname, because it says that.
Yeah, no, that's.
I don't know how you drew that conclusion, Data.
Yeah, I'm making crazy logical leaps here.
I still don't get what it means, but whatever.
I guess it doesn't mean anything. It's an homage.
Yeah.
And she shows up and like Mistborn jumps up to the balcony and just kind of sits there, and the guy's just reading his book and doesn't say anything. And she's like, and he's like, yeah, I'll be with you in a minute.
Take a number, please.
This guy is smooth. I will give him that.
No, he's a funny guy.
He's a lot of fun, I think. He's like his first thing is like, do you like stories, young lady?
Actually, okay. Very Tolkien now that you said it.
Yeah, I mean, when he starts talking about it, he's like the kind about monsters and myths, long tales, some call them. It's like, okay, no, yeah, this is Tolkien. It's totally, I get it.
Yep.
Yeah, I got a totally different vibe. It's like, do you like stories? I just heard like, do you like scary movies?
That's
What's
kind of
your favorite?
So now he's wearing a mask. He's gonna stab the fool.
Yep.
Wait, that's a different movie. Never mind. And so she's like, so I was told you could give information. He's like, oh yeah, no, that's the thing I do. And she says, Set gave me your name. He's like, oh, the scoundrel's still alive, eh? And then we find out that Set is a poet, and they used to write one another like a decade ago, sharing stories and poetry and things. But Set likes gritty and real stuff, even in his poetry. Like, this feels very, it just makes me think of like this kind of book versus like Game of Thrones, where it's like it's like Sanderson is taking a dig, and it's like, yeah, some people, everything has to be all gritty and stuff.
Just like, oh, Set is Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought of too.
Nope, that makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. We'll have the Snyder cut of this book eventually, where it's all about Set and Set's adventures. Like how unfair Ellen is to Set and all this. It's great. But Vin says she's here to get information about Yeoman, the Obligator King. I like that title, the Obligator King. It just sounds cool.
Rolls off the tongue.
And Slow Swift's first thing is that he's a good man. And Vin's like, okay. He's like, he's a better king than Set ever was, which I believe, because Set clearly sucks.
I feel like that's kind of a low bar. I mean, you not like from what we know of Set, it's like probably not the bar you could like struggle to limbo under, but still not high.
I feel like we jumped right over the most important information we get in this chapter.
Oh, really?
Set's a master poet? What?
I said that.
I know, but I feel like we didn't talk about it enough. Like,
I mean,
really?
Do you really want to think about the sort of poetry Set would write? I don't.
Yeah, I guess it'd be like what would that be like, Dak? Let's wonder and think, and then possibly come up with what we think. Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm picturing there once was a man from Nantucket type of stuff, you know?
Set is just a dirty limerick guy.
Yeah.
It has to be gritty, apparently. So I don't know what gritty poetry is exactly.
Poetry about dirt.
I was thinking an epic poem, ash. Like a Beowulf type thing, but okay.
Well, that's like epic poetry. Do you think Set's one of those guys?
I don't know. It doesn't really say.
He's probably just like all his poetry is about blood and death and war and not being able to use your legs, so you gotta poop in weird places.
Please tell me he's not the hero of ages and like the epigraphs are just his long poem.
Yep, it's all his poetry. You got it.
It's actually, we didn't notice, but it's in iambic pentameter.
Set can't even spell iambic pentameter.
You don't need to write in it. It's fine.
No.
Unless you want to rhyme iambic pentameter in your poem, that might be tough.
And Set that's what he's masterwork. A poem of plot holes and spelling errors.
That has to go in the Set poem now.
I like this idea that it's not gritty. Set is just a really meta poet, and he writes poetry about poetry.
Oh.
But the way Joe describes it, he's like a goth kid in high school who's like writing all these poems about death and darkness.
Yeah, and taking poops in weird places. Don't forget that.
I was gonna not go back to that, but okay, yeah.
Well,
Today the ash covered my latrine.
Yeah.
It was unpleasant.
It didn't matter because I couldn't use my legs to get to the latrine.
Oh gosh. But we find out
colostomy bag.
No.
My son Meow Meow has to change it for me. I'm a burden on him. I wish I was dead, and so does he.
So yeah, okay. We find out that Yeoman's approach to rule is more or less what Strath Venture had in mind, where it's like we're going back to the old days of the Lord Ruler. This is how he did stuff. That's how we're going to do stuff. And we know that there were people, even Scott, who wanted to go back to this system in the previous book. It's being free and running all the stuff. It's a burden and scary in a lot of ways when it's completely different from what you've known. So apparently people in Fadrex are kind of happy.
Well, it's stable.
Yeah.
They know their place, and wherever that is, they're content.
It's sad, but I buy it. It makes a lot of sense. But it's to the point that they're throwing balls, just like back in Luthadel, and I guess obviously in Fadrex before everything fell, before the Lord Ruler died. They most had balls here too. But anyway, and Yeoman attends all of the balls in person, unlike the Lord Ruler, so that everyone can see him and see that everything's working smoothly. And Vin's like, okay, yeah, whatever. What are Yeoman's weaknesses? How can we get to him? And the guy's like, why would I tell you that? I just said that I like the guy. And she's like, well, because you're an informant. You sell information. That's what you do. It's right there in the name. And he's like,
He's like, you don't know me.
Yeah, kinda. But she's like, you're not very helpful. He's like, why should I care?
He has a point.
Well, yeah. But that gives Vin the opportunity to come back with her whole speech. Like it's almost like the conversation's over. She says that he seems to think the conversation's over, and maybe she starts turning to leave, and she's like, you know what? I'll tell you why you should care, old man. Basically, because the world is ending. Okay.
Yeah. More dark poetry. It's like the world's ending, and I still can't walk.
I should have written a poem to convince him. That's what we needed, really.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, we're not going to take it, kicks in. She's like, listen here, old man. I know more about the world than you'll ever know.
Teacher, leave those kids alone.
I'm digging the soundtrack for Mistborn the music.
We did talk last time about how there had to be singing at some point, so maybe the
Shit,
speech is given in song.
Yeah, we gotta pitch this to Brandon. He's gonna love it. He's like, how am I gonna get the rights to all these songs? And they're like, hey, we're just the idea men, and woman. Like we don't know about clearing rights, bro. That's on you.
Yeah. We know nothing about copyright law.
But his response is like, apparently they've heard the rumors all the way out here. And Fadrax, when you look at the map, is a lot farther away from Luthadel than Urto is. So I think the rumors must have reached Urto also, or the stories about Vin. They just apparently have chosen not to believe them. But he's like, yeah, you're supposed to stop the ash and turn the sun yellow again. Heir of the survivor, hero of ages. Who's going around calling her hero of ages, like, in these stories? Like, who knew that term? And then after the disaster of the Well of Ascension, is like, oh yeah, she's the hero of ages. It's great.
Well, I guess how public is the knowledge of the disaster at the well?
Well, but I think the people who know Hero of Ages, because that only comes from, like, the book that they found and the rubbing that Saze took. And so the people who know about what happened at the well would also be those same people who know about the other thing.
I guess.
At least I think. Maybe I'm crazy.
Does the Hero of Ages factor into the survivor religion at all? I know that she's Lady Air, but do they start calling her the Hero of Ages? Because the religion, despite it going through Chinese whispers to get through to the other parts of the Empire, maybe that's how it's spreading?
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Daemu might be in the know about this stuff, and he might have started preaching. Oh, that's a good thought.
Yeah, or maybe Swift Swallow or whatever his name is. Maybe he just knows extra stuff because he's actually like super informed. He's like a super secret informant who knows all kinds of stuff.
Well, he's a poet. He might have found some old poetry about the Hero of Ages.
Could be. Well, whatever Slow Swallow's doing, it's good.
I like Joe's approach to these names. It's like my D&D character who in our story, who I've got a running joke with him that he doesn't bother to remember anybody's name, and Joe's just the same thing on the podcast except he's himself. So yeah, I don't care about names.
That's me. I mean, I know his name is Slow Swift or whatever. I just think it's funnier to call him Swift Swallow. It's sexual.
Just ask Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yep. Good guy, Jefferson Twilight, or whatever his name is.
Jefferson Twilight?
It's a character from the Venture Brothers. It's okay.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you screwed up the band Jefferson Starship.
No. I suspect the character from the Venture Brothers might be based on that in some way, but
okay.
Could be.
Does he build a city on rock and roll?
No, he's a Blackula hunter. He hunts vampires, but only black vampires.
Oh wait, no, I definitely did get to that part in Venture Brothers. That's like second season, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, we don't need to delve into that.
Hey, you guys, we're gonna strong referral on Venture Brothers. That's all I'm saying.
No,
like,
great
if you
show.
haven't watched it and you think the stupid things that we say are funny, go watch Venture Brothers. Way better.
It's much more stupid and funny.
Yes. The Mighty Monarch.
Apparently, Vin's speech was effective, and Yeoman's like, yeah, okay. Or not Yeoman, sorry, Slow Swift. He's like, yeah, okay. Sit down. Yeoman's a mediocre leader, which usually would be fine, especially since he's better than the one we had before that. Set sucks. But the world is ending, and I've heard that your husband is a man of vision and action. If we're going to survive, we will need to be part of that. And we find out that Yeoman has an unfailing belief in the Lord Ruler. And Finn's like, but he's dead. And Slow says, yeah, and your survivor, he's pretty dead too, right?
Last I checked, he was somewhat dead. It's like, isn't he dead? Oh, only slightly.
There's levels.
I mean, it depends who you ask.
Yeah, true.
Be convinced he's around.
You'll soon be dead in a moment. I'm not dead.
Stone dead in a moment. It's a stone dead. Not you'll soon be dead in a moment. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I mean, Jamie's right. Spook definitely seems to think that Kelsier is still hanging around somewhere. So maybe he is. I mean, we still have theories that he's like the Mist Ghost or he's something else, right? So he could be out there.
I mean, his body's definitely gone. It got digested.
Yeah. Only the bones are left, and we still don't know where those ended up. So Yeoman, the weaknesses that Slow Swift tells Vin, she keeps being like, this is not a weakness. He's like, his other weakness is his wealth. And Vin's like, okay, you're just messing with me now, right? Like, being rich is a weakness, since when? But apparently he has mysterious amounts of money, and from where no one knows. Ooh. And Vin thinks, oh, he has the adium. And Slow Swift's like, dude, you reacted way too strongly to that. You need to learn to, like, control yourself when talking to an informant. I love this guy. He's fun.
He's pretty funny.
And then Vin tries to leave, and he's like, excuse me, money? She's like, oh, yeah, right, money. Informants, right? They always want to be paid. Jeez.
Karma. Oh, I get it.
I get it. And so she decides she's going to pick somebody from the other end of the spectrum. She went to this rich guy's house. She's going to now go and see a beggar, one named Hoyd, that Set says can be found on a particular square late at night. And she goes there, and she sees him. She says the man was humming to himself, as the instructions said he might be doing. It's like, he seems alive. He's humming.
If it's him.
If it's the same one. Yeah.
I was kind of hoping, like, he would try and do the whole, oh, my eyesight's not so good, and Vin would just go, yeah, bitch, please, you're burning pewter.
That'd be good. Who knows what he would have done, because Vin starts, and then she hesitates, and something tells her that there's something off here. This is not a good idea. And she's like, Ellen would have wanted to know why and figure out what was going on. And she's like, no, I trust my instincts. If something feels off, I don't go.
I realized a second ago I said burning pewter. I should have said burning tin. My bad.
I kind of assumed you meant tin, and then I was like, oh, or maybe pewter too. Why not? I mean, yeah, I guess you could burn pewter and have bad eyesight at the same time. That would suck.
Yep. Anyway, my bad.
I wonder what happens if you have really bad eyesight, but you also burn tin. Do you just get, like, regular vision?
That's a good question.
Questions. I want answers. And so she starts kind of hopping around the city, looking at stuff, going towards the next informant, and then she realizes something is following her. And she thinks that it must be another Mistborn. It says he was moving with quick, easy bounds, following at a safe distance. Must be a Mistborn because she's not feeling him burn anything, but he seems to be burning copper and steel. That's the only explanation she comes up with for what's going on. So she's like, oh, it must be another Mistborn if he's burning at least 2 metals, right? So, and then she realizes that it is the Mist Spirit, who she has not seen since it stabbed Elend. And she says the Mist Spirit is not Ruin, which makes sense because the Mist Spirit was around before that and tried to stop them from letting Ruin out. So probably not Ruin, right? And she's like, I guess I don't even know for sure that was the spirit, but it just seems like it probably was. And she goes back to camp because she's kind of freaked out now. Which, yeah, we still don't know exactly what the Mist Spirit's game is, so we know that it stabs people.
Well, it has trouble communicating.
Clearly.
I'll play your game, you rogue.
Being followed by ghosts. Oh, not again.
And then we come to the last epigraph for today, which I kind of mentioned this earlier. I'd kind of forgotten that it was an epigraph. Like in the previous book or something, I talked about it, but he gives some more detail here. So the Lord Ruler manipulated technology. It says that he suppressed some technological advancements that had already been made, like gunpowder already existed. But Rashek did not like the way that it made it was much easier to learn and could make a common man nearly as effective as an archer with years of training. So he preferred the archers. It's harder to create an army to fight him if you need years of training, which is one of the problems that we had in the first book, was it's hard to gather and train an army. So
it startled me, the fact that gunpowder was even a thing. I'm just like, oh, fantasy universe with gunpowder, how often does that happen? And it's like, oh, there's actually a reason for it not to be here, which I thought was cool. And it's actually, I remember like studying gunpowder, I think it was in high school, and had to do a big assignment on it. And it's like, yeah, that was actually legitimate. Like, it was frowned upon among the noble classes because of how easy it was for a peasant to use it against a knight.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right?
It's like, this is actually super cool. Not the fact that it reminded me of high school, that sucked, but...
Actually, Brandon has a note about that in the annotations where he's like, gunpowder's mentioned here. It's odd how we fantasy fans feel an inherent and deep aversion to gunpowder. We have this idea that guns will damage the fantasy feel of a book.
Is that why he made the next series in the Old West?
He says, I still remember reading a fantasy book when I was younger. I think it was one of Robin McKinley's, and running across a passage where it mentioned the characters had rifles. I felt suddenly and strangely betrayed, as if the book had just been ruined. That's silly, of course. A story can have guns and still be a fantasy. Pirates of the Caribbean proves that. Still, I'm hesitant to use guns. Maybe I will someday, but for now I'm keeping them out. Fortunately, in this series, I had a very good reason.
Let's go to the ancient West.
My
I guess it kind
gun
of
shoots
explains.
swords.
I guess it kind of explains, though, like, I think it was back when we were reading Final Empire and you were talking about certain technology that existed. And it's like, well, if that sort of level of technology exists, why wouldn't something like that exist? And so it's nice to sort of tie that into, like, how he felt the need to explain sort of the science behind the metals and all that sort of stuff. It's not just because that's how it is. There is a reason, and I really respect that.
Yeah.
Like, turns out Rorschach was every geriatric politician ever saying, I don't like this newfangled thing. It's going to disrupt my way of life, so I'm going to suppress it.
Well, I think it interestingly goes back to that email that Angela sent where she's like, they're using the word microorganisms and all these other things would have been developed before they had this concept of microorganisms. And so now it's like, maybe some things were and they've just been suppressed. Maybe they had microscopes and Rorschach's like, nah, I don't think so. Get that out of here.
I don't want you to know my secrets.
I don't want you to know about the midichlorians.
Oh, no. Oh, why?
No.
That'll
Why
be the secret at the end of the
midichlorians?
book is the midichlorians and the key to everything.
Microorganisms, the midichlorians.
And the Force? Well, that's just microscopic organisms in your blood called midichlorians. Look, if you're going to take this seriously, I'm out of here.
That's a good DBZ abridged moment.
I thought that was Robot Chicken.
Oh, maybe you're right.
Both good.
Oh, yeah, both are good.
But I like this introduction to Ellen and Vin here, where Ellen's like, "Are you sure it was the Mist Spirit?" And she's like, "I don't actually know. I just got spooked and left." Spooked. But Ellen's just like, "No, good call." And Vin's like, "But Sazed was convinced that the Mist Spirit wasn't evil." And he's like, "Yes, so was I, until it stabbed me." And then
he's very like, flippant about it. He's like, "That was right about the time it stabbed me." No, I'm not holding a grudge. Why do you ask?
It's like he says, I was the one telling you that I felt it was friendly, and then it stabbed me, and then we weren't friends anymore.
I'm not a flip-flopper. I got new information, and it changed my mind.
It's like, yeah, no, I still hold a grudge against that thing. Haven't you noticed? I'm like, that's why I've got this new surplus of electric fans in case it comes near me again.
You started to say, like, that's why I've got, and in my mind, I went to, like, a proton pack. He's like, I'm ready if this ghost shows up again.
No, it's just, like, advanced technology, so now they have a leaf blower.
Sure.
It's like, charge it up, boys. Don't cross the streams.
I don't know where you plug in the leaf blower, or I don't think they have, like, gas to put in the leaf blower either, so I'm not sure how it works. But
yeah, it's a pewter-powered leaf blower.
Makes sense.
No, it doesn't.
So maybe we get solar power. Nope, to the red sun.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't work. We don't have enough light to grow plants. You think we can power a solar-powered leaf blower?
Man, this one really sucks.
And they get into a talk about the Mist Spirit and what's going on in the world and the mist itself. And Ellen's like, you still feel like the mist hates you? And she's like, or the Mist Spirit. And he's like, look, I don't know. I just feel hatred, okay? And he says, are you sure the spirit is not what makes people sick? And she's like, yeah, I'm sure. She's really sure. And Elton's not at all sure why, but
yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I can't trust Vin's really sure anymore because it hasn't paid off for us in the past. So
it has let us down at a couple of important moments.
It was like her being sure of things like it worked for a while until it really didn't.
But she still trusts it. That's why she didn't go and see Hoyd. She's like, no, I got a bad feeling about this.
I mean, her instincts are okay. Like, she can sense when something's up or, I don't really know how I feel about this. But, yeah, I mean, that last one was really quite an intense muck-up of things. So it's like, yeah, trust your instincts on things like that, but maybe other things, just have a bit more information before you decide to release ruin on the world.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I was doing quite well, and then I unleashed Satan. So, 6 of one, half dozen the other.
Yeah.
Can't win them all.
Yeah, Vin's the worst, huh?
I love Vin. It's just one of my favorite characters ever.
What's the Chris Pratt thing from Parks and Rec? I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, my bad.
Is it Voldemort Putin? Love to take that bastard down.
We have an introspective moment here where they're talking about Vin bringing back the yellow sun and blue sky, blah, blah, blah. And Ellen's like, I can't really imagine my wife doing like anything about the color of the sun or the falling ash. And he's like, Damu's right. I'm not a very good member of the Church of the Survivor. Am I? That's what happens when you're married to a holy figure. It's just awkward. I don't recommend it. In case anyone was
like pretty much what the
okay, because you've been through that.
I don't like to talk about it, but
your wife is Pope.
Yeah. She is not the Pope. She is Pope.
Space Pope.
The Space Pope. So she's a lizard.
Crocodilus Pontifex.
Yeah.
And so Ellen's like, you know what? Let's do it then. Let's save the world. Stop the ash.
As opposed to what they were already doing.
Well, yeah. I mean, they had a discussion early in the book, and she mentions it, where it's like, okay, Ellen's going to work on the Empire thing. Vin's going to work on the saving the world from ash and stuff thing. But now Ellen's like, no, we're going to work together. And this is where I think Jamie mentioned, it's like they get out in the open. It's like we can't actually talk about stuff. And so
again, you're just going to have to trust me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to. She's like, I just need you to trust me.
Ellen,
now it's just blind trust.
Yeah, exactly. Ellen's like, Vin, you can talk to me about anything. And she's like, no, I literally can't tell you what I'm thinking.
And it's kind of sweet where she's like, I have trouble trusting myself, so I have to rely on you and your trust in me. Which is kind of cute. And then he's like, during those days when you refused to marry me, I constantly thought about how strange you were. And she's like, okay, well, that's romantic. But at least in my favorite exchange of the entire chapter where he's like, okay, but look, you have to admit that you're weird, okay? Plus, in the short 3 years we've been together, you've killed my god, my father, my brother, and my fiance. We talked about that before. We left the fiance out, though, when we talked about it last time.
We completely forgot about Shan.
and his half-brothers that she didn't even know about.
Yeah, I don't think and no one's alive who knew that those guys were his brothers. So that's never coming out.
Last person who did, she literally cut in half. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he says that's kind of like a homicidal hat trick.
Homicidal hat trick, new band name. I call it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There's a note in the annotations where he goes, my editor tried very hard to get me to cut the homicidal hat trick line, not because it wasn't clever, but because he felt it was anachronistic, as the phrase is a commonly used metaphor in modern sports. However, I was able to prove via Wikipedia, and then in parentheses, which is infallible, that the term was used as early as the 19th century and didn't always refer to sports, but to 3 wins in a row in even simple games of chance. So grudgingly, he let me keep it in.
I'm gonna take one for everyone here and just say, editor, shut up and let the cool shit through.
Sometimes if it sounds awesome, you just gotta let it stay. You know what I'm saying?
We're talking about a world where they ingest metal to burn it to produce some kind of magical power. I don't think the word hat trick is our biggest issue with what's plausible.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, in fairness, we say this, but a few episodes ago we did have a good old laugh about the fact that Set said someone could suck it. So
yep, that's true.
Yeah.
They can suck on it, and we're like, wait a second.
Wasn't with the suck.
I mean, question to Brandon, what does Wikipedia say about that?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that's also got a 19th or 18th century origin.
Yeah, people have been sucking on things forever. What are you talking about? Since caveman
it's
times.
actually a 16th century insult over a game of chess, telling someone to, like, after their king has been checkmated, they can then suck on it.
I don't like that Joe turned it into spook talk, because now I feel like that's spook flirting.
Yeah. He's like, hey girl. He's like, hey girl, wasn't with the suck. And then his eyebrows go up and down really fast.
Yeah.
She's just like, what? And he's like, nothing.
When you said the eyebrows going up and down, all I saw was like the gif of Millhouse doing that. And now Spook is Millhouse.
Spook is totally Millhouse.
Yeah, you're right. That. Everything's coming up, Spook. Oh man, now I got a god that's taking over my, telling me to do all this stuff. That's not good.
Millhouse even has the glasses, so you just gotta wrap a cloth around them, and it's like, okay, here's Spook.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yep.
Going back to what you said earlier, if Milhouse burned tin, he'd probably just have regular eyesight.
Yeah.
Yeah, anytime I think of Milhouse, the only gif I think of is the one where he's playing frisbee with himself.
Yep.
I like that also that Vin's reaction to him being like, you killed all these people, like all my family and stuff. It's kind of a strange foundation for a relationship. And she just rolls her eyes at him. And he's just like, I'm glad I don't have any other close relatives, except for you, of course. And she's like, well, I'm not going to drown myself, if that's what you're getting at.
Ellen's really lucky that she's taking this well, because if she was in a slightly different mindset that day, as a wife, and my husband just kept going, oh, but it's kind of weird, like you killed my whole family, and like this was a homicidal hat trick, and it's kind of a weird foundation for, I would be like, dig up, man.
Oh my gosh.
Listeners, I want to make clear she has not killed my whole family.
Yeah, to be fair, if you had killed his whole family, I feel like you'd be entitled to say something like that.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you'd actually done it, then I feel like that's one of those things that you just have to be like, okay, no, that's fair.
I gotta live with this. I gotta live with the fact that I killed them. And,
remember the time you burned down my childhood home?
Wait,
you've accepted this about this person for a solid year now.
That's true.
And now you're like, oh yeah, but like it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, you have to admit.
She killed his fiance before they even really got together. So.
And Vince just like, why are you bringing up old shit?
I thought we were past this, Ellen.
Oh
in fairness, like maybe he intended these to be his marriage vows, but then their wedding ceremony went by so quick he never got a chance to use them, so he's just been holding on to them for so long.
Yep.
Imagine if they did have time to prepare.
He would have had a book up there and just like read out a whole book of vows.
Then I have loved you since the day we met, and I loved you even more every time you killed someone who was a dick to me that I might have been related to.
Yeah, Straff was no big loss. Shan was no big loss. He didn't know his brother well enough to have been like be insulted by.
Honestly, like one of the best comedic beats of the second book was, I have a brother. You had a brother.
Yeah.
She's like, keep up. You had one. He's dead now. Oh gosh.
I just killed him.
Yeah. He's like, the thing I'm the most thankful for, Vin, is that you drink the blood of my enemies.
Okay.
You also happen to be my family.
And anyway, Ellen's trying to write a letter to Yeoman in metal so that I guess Ruin doesn't change all the words to be like, suck it, Yeoman, when Yeoman gets the letter. So that's a good plan.
Yeah, that would be awesome, though, if he did change it to that. Yeoman's like not familiar with the parlance. He didn't hang out with Set enough. He's just like, suck it. Suck what?
But he makes an interesting point that he's like, you remember when I executed Jastes? And she's like, well, yeah, I mean, that was good. You should have done that. He's like, yeah, but I killed him for leading a group of Kolos to my city and letting them attack the people. But that's the exact same thing I now have just done to this city. But she's like, well, you can control them, though. And he's like, yeah, Jastes thought that, too. Which is, okay, you got kind of a point.
What's that line from WandaVision? It's like, that's an oversimplification of events, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. And this is where he's just like, man, I just wish I could talk to this guy. And Vin's like, oh, do you? Well, they're having balls, and King Yeoman attends every single one. And Ellen's like, wait, so you're saying are you suggesting we go to the ball in the middle of a city that we're currently besieging? And she's like, yeah, why not? We're Mistborn. We do what we want.
She just wants to go to a party. She just wants to dress up and feel like she has a normal night out with her husband. They're not conquering other people's kingdoms and things. She just wants to go out and just feel special,
Who can blame?
I feel like the last time we had date night.
Yeah, it is kind of part of conquering another city, to be fair. But
yeah, I also like how Ellen like just jumps up. He's like, I'm ready. Let me whip out my thick book and let's get going.
It's like, it is kind of funny. They're talking about, oh yeah, we're just gonna disguise ourselves, sneak into the city, and show up at a social engagement in Set City. Kind of what Set did to us.
That is the thing that happened. Yep.
True.
I hadn't thought about that. And so yeah, Ellen agrees to it. I like the part where she's like, "You think this is a good idea?" And he's like, "No, it's a crazy idea, but it does have something going for it." And she's like, "Yeah, let's just do this thing." And so they're gonna go, and that's when what somebody mentioned earlier, where all of a sudden she's like, "Oh!" And I was like, "What? What's wrong? Assassins? Mistspirit? Kolos? She's like, I don't have a dress. I don't have a gown.
Bwah, bwah, bwah.
What a great place to end our 3 chapters this week. It's perfect. What a cliffhanger. I didn't bring a gown.
Yeah, she's going to wear the red one this
sitcom
time.
moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we already talked about how, the Venture Brothers sitcom and a couple other sitcoms that we were putting together. So yeah, no, it works.
Finn doesn't have a dress for date night. Oh no. Credits. Please stand by.
So let us get into some predicaments. How about Joe? You can go first this time.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me stand up here and squeak my chair so everybody can hear that on the podcast. Yes, that's the right thing to do. All
That's
right.
right. I'm pretty sure I heard a cat yelling earlier.
Yeah, sorry. She's been asleep.
No, it wasn't
the whole
ours.
ours was yelling.
Oh, okay.
She's like,
Mine
shut
has
your
not
face.
been yelling.
He
So.
was-
I've had
she was
babies
yelling.
crying though. So
Oh, yeah, I heard the babes. So, yeah, I think we're all kind of there on this, but Spook's definitely being talked to by Ruin, who's pretending to be Kelsier. I mean, I'm like almost certain on this. I mean, it's way too out of Kelsier's character. Plus, I mean, as much as we might like to think so, Kelsier's gone. I don't think this is Kelsier or Kelsier's spirit coming back to help Spook. I think we must be right with this heme allergy stuff. Like, I don't know if it can be done by accident, or if it's or if it is as simple as you got stabbed with this metal through your body, and that person was a misting of this type. Like, I don't know if it's just that simple. It might be.
I think they said it went through the guy's chest, and we know from the
Right.
prologue that it has to go through the heart. So yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it may be just that simple. It's like, that's how it happens. That's how it works. But I think this pewter is not a gift from Kelsier. It's a gift from, in quotes, a gift from Ruin, because that guy was a thug, and so just so happens that he got that power. I think that's pretty much what's going on here. So I predict Spook's going to be manipulated and used for bad, which, do I feel kind of bad? I mean, yeah, but I don't like Spook that much, and, the guy made his choices. They were bad choices.
he didn't choose to get stabbed.
He didn't choose to get stabbed, but he chose to, like, walk up to that lady in the middle of her brother giving a giant speech where everybody could see him. He made a bad choice, which led to the situation that he's in now. And so, not really much to be done here. I mean, he's going to be used, so I guess my prediction is that I don't know how he's going to be used yet, but my prediction is Ruin is going to manipulate him and use him, posing as Kelsier. As far as the Vin and Ellen thing, I think they're actually, this chapter, Vin, I'm going to kind of skip over chapter 2, because besides Slow Swift, I don't know that there's like a whole lot to glean from that chapter. Slow Swift, I feel like he's probably going to come back. He's cool. He seemed pretty cool. But anyway, so going on to the 3rd chapter that we read, I like this plan between Vin and Ellen of each working on their own portion and not having to talk about it. It's just like, if I tell you to do this, I need you to just trust me and do it, because we're working towards the same goal, but we can't really talk about what we're doing. I think that's a really smart plan, and I think it's going to pay off for him. And then I'm really excited that Vin had the idea to just go to the ball and, like, show up and be like, hey, we're here. What up, yeoman? So I think that that's actually going to work out really well for them. Normally when they go into situations like that, I'm like, ooh, that might end up going badly, but I think it's actually going to work in their favor quite a bit. So I'm excited for when we get to that part. Missed having a Tenzin chapter this time, but maybe the next one's a Tenzin chapter, so we'll see. But want more Tenzin.
Sure. Tenzin's cool. He's a doggy. Again, he wasn't for a while. Joe's a fan of dogs. It all makes sense.
I do enjoy dogs. I have a nice little corgi that sheds everywhere, but I still love him. He's a good dog.
Yeah, I think what you're saying makes sense for the most part. Maybe.
For the most part, maybe, huh?
Yeah, that's my my patented hedge at the end. So I guess we will see about some of these. I still love that it's like no matter what happens to Spook, you're just like, I don't feel sorry for this guy. He's making his own decisions. He made his bed. He has to lie in it. Why can't you just talk right?
Yeah, all of those things.
Look at what happens when he tries to pick up chicks.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, is it cool that he's like the only guy we know that has only 2 powers? I mean, maybe, but not really.
Maybe. How many powers does a person need before you can be cool, huh?
Either all of them or only one of them.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Dak, what do you got this week?
Not a whole lot. It's like, I'm convinced that now Spook has become an accidental inquisitor, and Ruin has a direct line to his brain, posing as Kelsier, so he's going to lead him down a dark path. I feel like, we know Sazed and Breeze are going to show up in Urto fairly soon, so I feel like Ruin is going to keep Spook on the run a bit and try and just, keep him away from them, because they might notice that something is wrong and try and take the metal out, which Ruin obviously doesn't want. So I feel like they're going to go in looking for Spook, and everyone's like, I don't know, he's dead, man. And then they hear the rumors that no, he's alive, and so they go looking for him, but Spook always just stays away from him because Kelsier is telling him to. Ruin Kelsier. Yeah, I don't quite know what's going to happen when Vin and Ellen go to this ball, but it ain't going to go well. Like, something's going to go wrong. I feel like it'll turn out to be a trap at some point, but I don't know how. So I'll see how that goes. But I feel like the next couple of chapters, because, like Joe said, no Tensoon, so one of the next few chapters is going to have Tensoon doing, like, the dog out of hell act and escaping. So I can't wait for that.
Okay, so you're saying that they've made this plan that they've told us to go to this ball, and it's not going to go exactly as they plan, and everything's not going to be perfect?
Some plan. Like, their plan is, let's show up.
It is such a well thought out plan, right?
I don't know if there's extra steps they haven't told us this plan, or like they just haven't said out loud because they can't say things out loud. But from what we know, like that seems to be the extent of it. Let's go. Okay, then what?
Okay. That's a good point. It's like, okay, what now? We're here.
Let's mingle. It's like, oh, look, a dessert table.
Yeah, they're just gonna chow down. They're gonna eat all his snacks. That's how they get him.
Let's starve them out. Eat everything in sight.
So much. How do you like your wealth now? Happy birthday, yeoman. Like, it's not his birthday. They just start like smashing cakes and stuff. They're like,
I want this to happen. I want there to be cakes that get smashed. This is awesome.
They just like throw it on the ground, start stomping on it, and he's like,
Throw it
"What
on
the
the
hell is
ground.
wrong with these people?"
My dad's on a cell phone.
Duh.
Vin's just running around screaming, "Food fight!"
I'm sure
And all
that
the nobles are just like, yeah, whatever.
Nobody loves a food fight, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Jamie, how about you? You got anything interesting this time? Not to imply that other people did not. Sorry. Yeah.
Fucking burn.
Oh man.
No.
Dak, I need some ointment.
No, I think we're all sort of thinking along the same lines in relation to Spook and Ruin. I was sort of thinking more about how Zane got his powers, and was he potentially run through, because he had that spike in him, and did a Mistborn die for him to get Mistborn powers? Because presumably if he had, all other spikes, then he'd have all the powers. You'd have to get them individually, but could you just get them from one Mistborn? Not sure. If that's the case and Zane had those powers, did Ruin have that reach earlier? Is it just intensified now? Spook, I'm concerned what he's going to do next. Whether he's going to be, I don't know, tricked into gaining more power. Is he going to just fall under Ruin and be totally manipulated and used? Or is he going to actually have... He's got good intentions of trying to help the rest of the crew, but is he going to be a help or is he going to be a problem? Because now he's going to be, I guess, a direct line through with Ruin, and maybe Ruin would see some opportunity there. I don't know. I'm a little bit concerned about that side of things and how that's going to play out. I think the Spook that we know has good intentions, but you see what happens to the Inquisitors over time, and they get psycho.
That's true. And Marsh had good intentions at first also, and that didn't go so well for him.
No. So time will tell on that one. I like the idea that Vin and Ellen would have a bit of luck at the ball. I think if they were willing to leave Yeoman in that seat of power and not disrupt what's going on there too much, if they could actually work together sort of cooperatively and not threaten his position and what's going on in the city. If the city's doing reasonably well, I think it will be okay. But we know Ellen's not really thinking along those lines. Like, they are a threat and they do have to, be acted against. So whether the wheels fall off early or whether they fall off later, I still like the idea that they have a bit of a win. We've had so many conflicts of coming up with a leader and it's not going well. It didn't go well with Seth, didn't go well with Straff. It's not going well with the citizen. It might be nice to have someone else who's willing to jump on board. And the fact that we've got Slow Swift going, yeah, look, he's not a great leader, but, things are okay here. He's better than Seth. The people might be okay, sort of as they are for the time being. And maybe it's more about gaining the cooperation than it is completely overthrowing their city at this time. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. But I'd like to think it's going to go well.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a change of pace, wouldn't it, to have a conflict with another leader where the other leader's actually reasonable and talks to you, and maybe he's just like, hey, you have a good point.
Yeah, not to say that it wouldn't end in conflict at some point throughout the book, but it might be nice to have someone there at the moment, and especially if they're kind of struggling in terms of, we don't have allomancers unless they've managed to find a whole bunch of them, and we're not really in the strongest position we could be, then having an alliance would work for them as well. But it's also whether, because they've reinstated this nobility and Scar dynamic that we had previously, do they really want Elend in there as the emperor? He's got the nobility behind him, but Vin doesn't. And now they're married and trying to take over the whole empire. And, that could go down pretty poorly. But I guess it'll come down to, for everyone, what's the lesser of the evils immediately. So.
Well, one conflict that I guess we should be able to see coming potentially at this point is that Slow Swift told Vin that this guy that Yeoman is a firm believer in the Lord Ruler. And Vin is the one who killed the Lord Ruler, so it seems like that might be a sticking point at some point. But
yeah, true.
You had a really interesting question that we've kind of touched on before about what would happen, if you can use these spikes to steal powers. What happens if you kill a Mistborn? Does one spike get all their powers? Do you get one power from a Mistborn? If you did get one power, how would you decide how would you determine which power you're getting? It's that's something we haven't really seen that we know of, at least. So it's kind of an interesting question.
No, and we sort of know as well that Straff was so desperate to have a Mistborn or an Allomancer in the family. And we got that insight last week that Elend had his beating the children to get them to snap was completely normal. What if Straff just got super desperate and went, hey, Inquisitors do this? Maybe some of the nobility actually already know how that works. And decided, all right, well, I mean, if I'm going to get a Mistborn out of it, I can kill another Mistborn. That's fine. How early does that happen in life? Who even knows? But yeah, we might have some answers with Zane. I don't know. Those answers could be gone in there. Maybe we never really find that out about what happened to him, but I think that would be interesting to know.
Yeah, Zane said the spike had been there forever, basically. So whether that's true and how helpful that statement is, I don't know. But that's an interesting point. Although,
I mean, he wouldn't have been born with it, so
yeah,
it's got in there somehow.
I would hope he was not born with it. Yeah, that's messed up.
Born with a spike. Yeah.
But also the question is, how hard would it be to actually get a Mistborn and hold them down and kill them like that with a piece of metal, for that matter? No, you stay there while we shove this metal in you. So I don't know.
Well, if they don't have any metals to burn.
That's true. Or if you happen to know about what was the metal? Aluminum.
Aluminium, yeah. They spiked their martini.
Okay. Good predicaments. We have a few things to talk about. We got several emails, and we got one new review, which I'm going to hit on first. And this is actually not super new. It's actually, but it was from Great Britain, so it didn't show up on my regular Apple Podcasts thing, so I missed it.
Oh, we have British listeners? Cool.
We knew that we had at least somebody in Ireland that one time, so
yeah.
For all, so Great Britain.
Depending where in Ireland, they're not part of Britain, so.
Well, they're not part of the UK, depending on where they are in Ireland.
Part of the UK, yes.
Yeah, they'd be part of the British Isles. I don't. Yes. I'm sorry, people who live there. I always get that all mixed up.
Yes, I think I just got Great Britain confused with the United Kingdom, which are separate things. They cover a lot of the same ground.
Lovely country all the same, Ireland.
I've never been there. I've been to London one time, but it was to change airports on our way to Venice. We had to go from one airport to another one, and that's the entirety of London that I saw was the drive from one airport to another.
Oh, dude,
I
you guys
spent
got to
a few
make
days
a regular trip
few days
there.
in London.
It's awesome.
We were supposed to go to London last year, along with a lot of mainland Europe, but COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. Someday.
Belgium.
We have the one review, as I said, from Great Britain, and the review is from Ivora, and Ivora says, came for Miracle of Sound, stayed for the quality. Not really. Very well made podcast from the first chapter. Mondays are a lot of fun listening to your views of the book and predicaments. So thank you, Ivora.
Yeah, Ivora, welcome. You're now a part of the Misting crew. Let me whip up a quick Misting name for you. So what do we think? Ivora was sweet and to the point. She was very complimentary and nice, and she made a good joke. So I'm going to call her a soother. Welcome.
Ivora could be a male name, so I'd just say.
Oh, that's my bad. Yeah. If I misgendered you, that's my bad.
So thank you for your 5-star review. We appreciate it. Anybody who wants to leave us an awesome review on an Apple podcast or any other place you happen to get your podcast that lets you leave reviews, Joe's handing out invites to the Misting crew for 5-star reviews. That's the deal. Okay, and then we have several emails. We have, kind of two. Two emails from Joseph, and his emails came in January, but for some reason went into my spam folder. So I did not spot them until this week. Sorry,
no,
Joseph.
He spent the whole time thinking we hate him, and we no.
Joseph
We hope
says,
you're still listening.
yeah, seriously. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, we haven't heard his email yet, Dak. We may still hate him.
Joseph says, hi guys, wanted to say I love the podcast. I only recently found it and I'm nearly done with the Final Empire ones. I drive for a job, so I go through lots of podcasts and audiobooks. Joseph asks, when are you going to do Secret History? And then, so that was January 27th. January 28th comes, and Joseph says, so my bad about the Secret History email the other day. It looks like the moment I had a similar thought to Jamie when she thought about the mist spirit being made of mist, a sentence before it was said. Oh, because he's saying that this was similar to that when he had the same thought as her. 2 more episodes and my Secret History question was answered. So that's what I get for not waiting to be caught up. Oh, well. Thanks for making an awesome podcast. And I love how accurate some of the predicaments are. It's eerie at times. So thank you,
Thanks,
Joe.
man.
Joseph.
Thank you.
I'm not going to tell everyone yet, but I have made a decision on when if we read Secret History next or if we save it till after Era 2. And fun fact, one of the emails that got sent in of people saying either do or do not do it after this convinced me. It was very convincing, but it convinced me in the opposite way from the way the writer of the email was trying to convince me. So
Burn writer of the email.
We will maybe when we get halfway or 3/4 of the way, I will announce what is the very next thing we're doing, because if it's a new book, I gotta get it sent to Dak and Jamie anyway. But up till then, I'm gonna keep it a secret, if only so that if I decide to change my mind before then, I can do it and nobody will know. So anyway,
But now all the people who have sent an email once the decision is made, like if they advocated for for the other way that you wind up deciding, they're just like, shit, was I the one who screwed it up for everyone?
I'll definitely say what was in the email that convinced me and why when I give the explanation. But so probably the person will be able to pick out their own. Assuming they're even still listening, they're gonna be like, these guys, whatever. Okay, next email. We have 2 more, by the way. It was a busy email week. Well, to be fair, some of those were from a month ago. So, you all and Spook are all missing. Oh, I'm sorry. This is from Todd. No subject. You all and Spook are missing the real way Vin stole Ellen's heart. She killed his fiance, which is funny because we just talked about that.
Yep. You got us.
We're not quite there yet. Not going to read that part of it. As a side note, I'd never used Apple Podcasts, but tried downloading iTunes on my PC specifically so I could give you guys a review. Could not figure out how to, though. There's a way to get a direct link to your podcast review page, and if that was put on the website, it would probably help a lot. And then he says, as always, I love the show. So thanks, Todd. I feel like it might be a little weird to be like, hey, on our website, here's where you go and leave us a good review. That seems a little presumptuous to me, but I don't know.
We don't have to say good review. You could just say leave a review.
That's true. So I'll consider that suggestion, Todd. I'm not 100% either way yet.
Yeah. Not saying that I don't want people to enjoy the podcast, but I really want to listen to like a 1-star review sometime. Just to like hear somebody be like, these guys are shit. They don't know anything about Brandon Sanderson.
I watched
That's kind of the point.
I just watched a video
is the point.
today where some like book bloggers or vloggers were like, one of them was reading 1-star reviews of fantasy books and the other one had to figure out what the fantasy book was from the 1-star review. And it made me go out and like start looking up 1-star reviews of some of my favorite books on Amazon just because I was curious. The first Dresden Files book gets a whole lot of hate for mostly for the way that women are talked about, which is an issue throughout the Dresden Files to some extent. So I kind of get that. But it has a lot of 1-star reviews, mostly for that reason. Mistborn, not as many 1-star reviews. So, there's that. Finally, we have what's actually kind of a 2-part thing also from Angela Prime. And Angela says, I just read the end of chapter 19, and I tried reading chapter 20, but only got halfway through because I was so distracted. You don't get a hello this time because I'm too overwhelmed with feelings. So she'll make it clear in a second. I have theories. To recap, none of my friends have read the book, and I can't enter the Discord spoiler chat, so this email is getting my thoughts out. I've listed my theories in order and rated them how likely I think they are, and I won't go through them all, but this is basically what happened. What has just happened that she's reacting to is Spook has seen Kelsier's ghost.
Ah.
And so she has lots of potential theories about what Kelsier's ghost might actually be. Her first one is Kelsier's gone from figurative Jesus to literal Jesus and is now alive. It doesn't matter that he was eaten. He's alive and the savior. And I think this is a 0 on the likelihood scale.
0. Oh, Kelsier, you nut.
And then she's like, maybe Spook is hallucinating because of tin withdrawal, which we totally talked about. This email was before that episode where we talked about that stuff. Or well, before that episode came out anyway. The Church of the Survivor is actually the citizen shadow government, and they've both imprisoned and saved Spook and tricked him into thinking this is Kelsier to gain his allegiance. That was one we hadn't considered. I kind of like that idea.
That is a cool idea.
It's extremely elaborate, but that would be kind of neat. Kelsier is a Khandra. We did talk about that possibility. She seemed to think that one's pretty likely. She's like, that's a 5 on the likelihood scale. Preservation has taken the shape of Kelsier. This being is the same power that helped Vin defeat the Lord Ruler when she channeled the mists, and also the thing that stabbed Elend and gave him the metal that gave him allomancy. So maybe this is giving Spook allomancy somehow, which that's another theory we hadn't considered. She brings up the fact that blessing is used. I've given you the blessing of pewter, just like the Khandra blessings, the same thing Joe talked about, and a few other things in here. But then, and before I finish out her email, I want to jump to the next one, because a couple days later, she's like, okay, she sends another email. It's like, for context, I think I must have skimmed over the end of Spook's fight. Now that I know what's actually going on, I'm sad that there's not as much of a mystery. So this is after our episode came out. And she said in the Discord, like, when Jamie was like, wait, like, the sword broke off in him? And then she's like, I missed that too.
And so I'm not the only one.
She's just like completely revamped her thinking on this. And she's like, okay, so I wrote that big long email with all those theories. Now that I've actually heard you guys talk about it and got some of the details I missed, I think that that's probably Rowan is actually Kelsier.
Yeah, it's a real bummer.
So it's funny how she put so much work, this long email about all the different theories, and then she's like, oh, never mind. I'm sorry.
Well, Angela Prime, you are the lady, That was good.
And the end of her first email, which I kind of skipped to read the thing, but it's like, Data and Joe, I hope you're both safe and well following the terrible weather and the power water failures of the past week. Data let us know in the Discord you're both affected by the storms, so I know that you've been in many listeners' thoughts. If we didn't get a new episode for a while, we would understand. Thank you for continuing to be a great source of entertainment for us all. We appreciate you wuzzing to the time of next.
Wow, I appreciate you guys. I know we both do. That's really nice. I think we were both pretty lucky.
Yeah.
As things go, a lot of our family and friends had like burst pipes and other things, but Data and I got through it pretty much unscathed for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, you were out of power for a week and had to go live with your in-laws for a bit, but other than that, I mean, that's not bad.
No, it could have been much worse.
Yeah. So yes, thank you everyone who sent us emails. If you would like to send us an email, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I still haven't put up any new YouTube videos. I'm really sorry. I think Blue Priest, that was like, hey, can you put the new episodes up on YouTube? And I was like, maybe we can do that. And then I've really slacked off on getting up to date on the YouTube episodes, and I'm sorry.
And it might be a bit longer because you're about to go.
Yeah,
to
I'm gonna
Disney
be
World,
gone
as
for
we
a
said.
while. So
Yeah. But we'll come back. We will be back.
yes, I'll be back Arnold Schwarzenegger style.
Then say it that way.
No,
don't-
I'm not
you
as
don't
good
have
at voices as you are. So
You don't have a Schwarzenegger?
I'll be back.
there you
That's-
go. That's not
Dak,
bad.
that was pretty good. Yeah. I can't do a Schwarzenegger. I just don't have it in me. Like.
I mean, it helps that like a lot of the words that are very distinct in his accent aren't in that sentence. So
That's true. Yeah.
That's a
Anytime
good point.
anytime I try to do a Schwarzenegger, I just end up doing a Stallone somehow.
The real
'Cause
secret
I
is
am.
you just go for the one line. You're just like, it's not a tumor.
Yeah.
That one's easy.
Get to the
get
chopper.
to the chopper.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
good at it. But I could do a mean Adrian. Adrian!
That's good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. You greedy and lazy.
So, like I said up at the top of the episode, for our next set, which will be a couple weeks now, but we are reading chapters 29, 30, and 31. 3 chapters again, and they're all kind of on the longer side compared to some of the really short ones we've read lately. So come back for those in a couple weeks. And music by Miracle of Sound, throw that in there.
Hey.
What else? What am I
Music
I'm
by
always forgetting
Miracle
something.
of Sound. I don't know. What are you forgetting?
Anyway, thanks everybody for listening. Wasing to the time of next.
As the towers of steel and stone crumble to dust, the foundations of our hope begin to rust. Choking fear, screaming sound, as a reaper comes to ground. You turn to face it down because you must.